Hey up, Sofa Squad. Black Sofa back again. I'm back with my brother Tom, aka Tom of Bedlam, and we're back with another movie review. And Tom, What movie are we going to be talking about tonight?
Tonight we're going to be talking about What About Bob, the 1991 comedy starring Bill Murray and the great Richard Dreyfuss.
Yes, yes. And what is this film about?
Well, I guess I'll do a plot synopsis in a sec. But basically, it's about there's a guy called Bob Wiley, played by Bill Murray. He lives in New York, and the film. I guess I'll just do the plot synopsis now, very quick, which usually means it goes on for ages. But it's the only way to do it, I guess. It's about he's got lots of problems, isn't he? He's got lots of phobias, lots of disorders, and the film opens with him.
He's very neurotic.
Yeah, very neurotic. And he's lots of phobias, lots of difficulties. Like everyday life is a real struggle to him, and we spend a bit of time with him at the beginning of the film, and it's good exposition because we see that he lives alone. He's on. I think the first thing we see, he's sitting on the bed, and he's got a mantra that he's like repeating to himself. I feel good. I feel great. I feel wonderful. When he clearly isn't, and he goes, right. He's got a pet fish called Gil, and he says to him, "Oh, it's time to go to work now, Gil." And then he clocks in, but he's got like a desk in his apartment, so obviously he works from home. But then we see that it's like a special day, like he has to leave the house, and he's like going, he sort of has to psych himself out just to leave his front door, So we get that he's agoraphobic, definitely. And then he walks through the hall of his apartment, and I'm sure we can all relate to this at the moment. He gets out loads of tissues because he doesn't want to touch the doorknob. So in that first sort of 3 minutes, we can tell that he's agoraphobic, germophobic. He has high anxiety about everything, and just getting to where he's got to go, it takes a lot of a lot of effort, a lot of worry, and he's scared of everything basically, and we don't know where he's going yet, but we then cut to the other character. So that's Bob Wiley, played by Bill Murray, who's the disturbed person. The second main character is Dr. Leo Marvin, who's a psychiatrist, and he's sitting in this high-rise office where obviously where he works, and I think he's on the phone. He's talking to his wife, saying, "My agent just called me, and it looks like that the Good Morning America are going to come to interview me up in Lake Winnipesaukee. It's up in New Hampshire, where we find out later he's going on holiday, and they're going to interview me about my new book. He's got a new book out called Baby Steps, which he hopes will sort of be very successful. And he says that if Good Morning America interview him and on live TV, it'll be a really good shot in the arm for his book. So he's reaching the sort of like the high point of his career, and we get a sense. I don't know if you got this when you first watched the film. I think I definitely got the notion that he's basically a decent bloke. He's a bit full of himself.
Yeah,
it's hubris. He makes it really funny. I love Richard Dreyfuss. I love his voice. I love his laugh as well. And he says something. He's talking to his wife, and he's like, this is quite important to the plot actually. His secretary goes, Dr. Marvin, you've got I can't remember the guy's name. You've got so and so on line 2.
A colleague.
Yeah, it's one of his colleagues, and he says, "Oh, honey, I've got to go now. I've got a colleague waiting on the other line." They sure do come out of the woodwork. when you're famous. He's got that classic sort of Richard Dreyfuss laugh. I love it. It's brilliant. So yeah, he's going to get interviewed. He gets a call from a colleague, and then we see the colleague, on the other end of the phone, and he looks distressed, and he's sort of packing up his office, into a cardboard box, and he tells them that he's leaving his practice, and he wants to refer one of his patients to Dr. Marvin. And Dr. Marvin, he's sort of a little bit apprehensive. He's like, "Yo, come on, what exactly is the problem? He's not psychotic, is he?" He's like, "Oh, no. He's he pays early. He turns up on time. He just needs someone brilliant." And he sort of flatters Dr. Marvin,
Yes.
and he says, "Okay, yeah, why not? I'll see him." And then after his colleague puts the phone down, he sort of he says to himself, "Free." We know, the audience knows that he's trouble, this Bob, or at least he calls trouble to all of his his previous psychiatrists. Anyway, we find out later that it's the latest in a long stream of psychiatrists.
What we should mention is that this particular psychiatrist is retiring.
Yeah.
And he's really cagey about why he's leaving the psychiatry business.
Yeah, it's clearly he's just trying to palm off Bob onto Dr. Leo Marvin, so he can walk off into the sunset and not have to bother about Bob anymore. So that's a lot of the setup, and then after that, Dr. Marvin's secretary comes in and says it's definitely happening. Good Morning America are going to come to his holiday home in New Hampshire and interview him about his book. So, it's a moment of triumph for Leo, and then we find out that's where Bob's heading, because he says to his secretary, can you set up a meeting after my vacation, an hour session with Bob Wiley if he calls. He goes, he's already called twice, he's your next appointment. And he's like, that's persistence. And then that's what we know, that's where Bob's going. He gets into the building, and then he gets told, it's on the, I don't know, very high floor, like the 30th floor or something. But he can't, he's so he's got, I don't know if it's I guess it's the agoraphobia, claustrophobia, it could be germophobia, something. He can't get into that that elevator. So he runs up the stairs, and he's knackered by the time he gets up there. And, he's quite charming. Bob's quite a charming bloke. He's not like he isn't like psychotic, is he? He's quite a nice, kind-hearted kind of guy, and he's funny. His life's a massive struggle, so he has to run up all the stairs because he can't, he's too scared to get in the lift. And he has a sort of introductory session with Dr. Marvin, with Leo, and we see a little glimpse we see a picture of Leo's family, and then he has this sort of shtick, doesn't he? He's talking to Dr. Marvin, and he says, he's got problems, I break out into cold sweats, hot sweats, nausea, and Dr. Marvin then sort of, after they talk for a while, he says that he actually describes his own book as a groundbreaking new book that's just hit the shelves.
And there's a whole shelf of his books.
And he's up pretending to go, where is it? There it is. It's called Baby Steps, his book, and he describes it, and the upshot is that Bob thinks, you can help me. I feel like there's hope at last. Because he thinks, because Dr. Marvin sort of describes what Baby Steps is. It's basically, if you see what you have to do today, you see it as a big mountain. Baby Steps encourages you to sort of break it up into small, manageable tasks, so you don't see life as a big daunting thing. That's the idea. And Bob is very excited. His home, this is great. And then Leo drops the bombshell. He goes, I'll see you in a month after my vacation. And then Bob is immediately, what? That's a month. I can't, you know. And he's a bit panicking. He's like, oh, you'll be all right. And then he's in a bad way, isn't he, Bob? After that,
Yeah.
You know? he's in a real trouble because he thinks he needs Dr. Marvin to help him now, you know. And then obviously Leo is now in New Hampshire with his family, and then Bob phones up. I think it must be the switchboard in the building where Leo works in New York.
Yeah.
He phones it up. He manages to get through to Leo, and he says that you can just call my colleague, or if it's an emergency, go to the emergency room. He goes, goodbye, Bob. You know, because he's on holiday. You know, he can't. You know, what's he gonna do? He can't like spend his holiday talking to Bob on the phone. So he sort of fobs him off. And then Bob, first he pretends because he asks about his family when he sees the photo in the office. He pretends to he gets this woman off the street. At a phone box to sort of impersonate Leo's sister, because he finds out her name, Lily. So and then the switchboard goes, oh, Dr. Marvin, we've got a call from your sister. And then he's like, Lily, what's up? He's like, Dr. Marvin, please don't be mad, it's me, it's Bob. And then he's like, look, I can't trust, you know, what does he say? Something like the doctor-patient
relationship is built on trust.
Yeah. If you phone me up and pretend to be my sister, I can't trust you anymore. And then he's like, oh god, that wasn't smart. And then then he sort of ups the ante, and he sort of impersonates a policeman, goes to that switchboard, and then he says, oh, Bob committed suicide. And then he manages to sort of wrangle the address of where Dr. Leo is staying in New Hampshire. And then he gets on a bus to where's he? Lake Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And his plan is ridiculous. He goes, as soon as he gets off the bus, he just starts yelling out, Dr. Leo, Dr. Leo Marvin. You know, he just keeps yelling his name. But by coincidence, Leo is there with his family, like in that area, like in a shop or something. He's coming out of his shop. And he's like, oh, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, please don't be mad, and all this. And then he says, look, he agrees to sort of speak to him, you know, on the phone, on a payphone in this grocery store. Or it's a cafe, actually. I think it's a cafe. In an hour and a half. But you can start to tell Leo is starting to get really annoyed at Bob's behavior. You know,
he insists, I don't get angry, but you're upset. I don't get upset, Bob.
yeah. And because at the start of the film, Leo's, you know, he's quite quite cool, not cool as in collected, isn't he? And quite well balanced kind of guy, and Bob's just, you know, a sort of wreck basically. And you start to see, because Bob starts saying, please, I've come so far, please help me. He's sort of begging. He's like, all right. So he sort of he loses his temper with Bob, you know, for the first time. And then he agrees to call him at this place called the Gutman's Coffee Shop, I think it is. And Bob is sitting there waiting for 4 o'clock, I think it is, you know, when he agrees to call, when Leo has agreed to call him. And then he tells the owners, which is a sort of married couple, an old married couple, I want to call Dr. Marvin. He somehow tells them he's waiting for a call from Dr. Marvin, and he mentions that, oh, Dr. Marvin won't see me, so I have to wait for a call. And the Gutmans have a grudge against Dr. Marvin because Dr. Marvin has Leo's bought that they've been saving up to buy this sort of their dream house by the lake, and then in the last minute, Leo bought the house for himself and his family, you know, sort of bought it out from under them, you know. So when they hear that Dr. Marvin, well, Leo won't see Bob. They say we'll show you where he lives. Like he's driving back to his house. So that without that, he wouldn't. He probably would have just taken the call because he wouldn't have known how to get. I don't know. Maybe actually, to be honest, he probably would have found some other way of wrangling his way in. But yeah, so there he is. He's outside the house, and then Leo is not happy with him. But he's still being quite nice to Bob, isn't he? He's still being quite polite, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Oh, don't be mad. The Gutmans brought me and all that." And once I told them, they insist. Oh no, that's a bit late. He said, "Yeah, the Gutmans brought me." And he says, "Okay, right." And then he says, "I'll talk to you." And he goes, "I can't help you right now because I'm on vacation." And he sort of fobs them off with something that I think is a bit of a cop out, but I don't know. Maybe it's an ingenious psychological or psychiatric device. But he sort of says, "Oh, I'm giving you permission to take a vacation from your problems. So go back to New York, take a vacation from your problems, and I'll see you in a month." And then and then he goes, "Oh, this is Dan. You're a genius." And he hugs him, and like you can tell, Leo is not happy with him hugging him as well. It's like it's too intimate. It's like there's got to be some distance, and Bob is sort of violating the doctor-patient relationship. And then and then he goes on, but then this is quite key. I wouldn't mention this if this wasn't important. That because his pet fish he takes with him in this jar, which is like on a piece of string around his neck, isn't it? But he leaves it because earlier, when he goes to the house, Leo's wife, Faye, is it Faye?
Yeah, Faye.
Yeah. Faye, she goes, "Oh, can I take your fish?" He's like, "Oh yeah, thanks." So he leaves the fish there. So he goes back, and Leo's like, at the first, when he sees Bob coming back into house, he's like, "What's going on?" And then he's like, "Oh, he forgot his fish," and that's where he sort of like meets I think he meets the daughter Anna, and he meets Leo's son Siggy, and Siggy, you can tell Siggy thinks he's a cool guy, like he's got he's just a cool kind of guy. And then so that's how he gets introduced to the family, and they all sort of like him as well. They always think he's quite silly and yachty, but he's quite fun, and then he goes, and then Leo just thinks, he's gone. And that's that, and he's obviously very, you see him preparing for his interview, and this is quite key there as well because it comes back later. You see Leo sort of rehearsing the interview in the mirror, and he says it in the way he says it. He's very calm. He's like, "Well, June, I'm very proud of baby steps. I'm enormously gratified by his success. I think the greatest challenge to me, aside from the writing, is making it accessible to laymen as well as my colleagues." And that's his sort of pre-prepared line, and we come back to that later. But yeah, and then he's talking to his family, and then he hears the bell ringing outside his house, and it's Bob is back. And this is interesting because I think there's a sort of hint of this. I'm not sure. Whatever, but like Bob sort of misinterprets what he said. Either I don't know. It's hard to tell. So I watched it loads of times. Sometimes I think, is he doing this on purpose? Did he deliberately just not understand it? But I don't know. He sort of explains it. He says, "Oh, I took your advice," and he goes, "Yeah, but you're back." And he's like, "No, I'm not." He's like, "You're not?" He goes, "No. This isn't like an appointment. I'm just dropping by. You told me to take a vacation from my problems, and I did, and I'm on vacation here now." And he's like, "No." And he says, "Yeah, I'm staying at the Gutmans. After I told them what you said, they insisted." So obviously to get back at Dr. Marvin, they sort of said, "Oh, you can stay here," kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, what do you think about it? Do you reckon he deliberately, like disingenuously sort of said, "Oh no, I'm taking a vacation here. That's my vacation from my problems"? Or I don't know. I think he might be sincere. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't think that's Bob's character. I don't think he has any malice intent. He he's not a malice guy. He's not a vindictive person.
No.
I think it's a simple case of he took it literally,
Yeah.
and
think-
he decided to take a vacation.
Oh, I missed out quite something quite important actually. I'll try and get the direct quote up. This is quite uh, it's quite complicated, but I missed out a bit, which is a very. It's very it's important because it tells us something about Bob's motivation. I think because in the opening scene, well, the opening scene in Dr. Marvin's office, Dr. Marvin says something like he's got his dictaphone out, and I can't find it. Basically, he says introductory meeting with Bob Wiley, a multiphobic personality with acute separation anxiety and extreme need for family. What does it say? Family
Connections.
Family connections. That's it. Family connection. Yeah. So he needs a family. That's the he needs family connection. So that's a big motivator. That's why he's perhaps clingy. I don't know. I think he's not. He's very good natured, but he can be. I don't know. Getting to New Hampshire was a little. He did sort of fake his own suicide and impersonate. So I think if it came to, he really needs. He needs help, but he didn't know about it. But yeah, that I think that diagnosis that Leo makes is sort of like turns out to be like completely spot on, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So Bob is now at Lake Winnipesaukee, in the same town, in the same place as his psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And I think Leo is perfectly well within his rights he sort of reacts. He sort of says, right, okay, family conference. None of he talks to his daughter, his son, and his wife. None of you are to let Bob Wiley into this house. And I think Siggy says, but why? And then Faye says, don't you think you're overreacting just a little bit? He's like, good, I'm glad we're all in agreement. Family conference. It's funny. It's a really good line, but it's also a good bit of exposition. Look, they like Bob, and he doesn't, and they're not on board with. Only Leo can really appreciate it. That this is. I mean, he's got a legitimate grievance, hasn't he? One of his patients has stalked him after only seeing him for like a preliminary, meeting appointment. It stalked him using under false pretenses, getting his address and then stalking him across the country on vacation. A couple of days, or the day before his very important, career-defining interview on national television as well.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like you can see his point of view, but you can also from his family point. I mean, like Bob, he's a sweet guy, he's funny, So that's you can see the division in the family between Leo and his family over Bob, and there's kind of a tension between Dr. Marvin and his kids, because he's got this sort of dream of he really wants his son Siggy to dive. His house is by the lake and there's like a jetty, and he wants him to dive off the jetty. I think he says it's really important for me to see you dive, and I really want you to do it on this vacation. He's like, oh, this is so much pressure, and he's scared. And he doesn't do it. He just can't get him to dive. And then I can't remember if this is the same scene, because he won't dive. And then next he's trying to get him to dive, and he says that Oh yeah, the next time he's holding onto his shirt at the back, and he's like, "I'm not going to drop you until you're ready." And then and then he sees Bob. I think what is Bob
Because
doing?
in the meantime, his daughter, he's driving to this boat, to join her friend on this boat, on this yacht.
That's it.
And she sees Bob walking back to the Gutmans and picks him up and invites him along.
Of course, yeah.
And so he's tied to the mast.
Yeah, because he doesn't feel safe. Yeah.
That was the only way he was going to, manage. And then, but he's Dr. Leo Marvin is holding his son Sigmund by the shirt, as you said, and he says, he's promising, I won't let go, and then he sees Bob on the yacht saying, I'm sailing, I'm a sailor, ahoy, I'm a sailor.
Yeah. And then because he's so surprised, he lets go of Ziggy without telling him, and he falls into the water. And then I think that angers Ziggy, and he sort of says, "Oh, murderer!"
Yeah. And your knobhead is saying, "It's death therapy, baby steps."
Well,
we're going to get to death therapy.
We'll get there. But yeah, like you say, this is so. There's he pisses off his son, and then he goes and he meets Anna at the marina. He drives there, and he's angry at Anna because she sort of defied him.
Yes.
Because he said, we're not to let this, Bob Wiley, but then she likes him, that's why she picks him up and invites him to go sailing. She can't see the problem,
No.
And she says, and then they have like a conversation. He gets these sort of like little dolls out. He's got a doll each. He's got 4 puppets that are sort of look like them, look like each member of the family. And he wants to have I think it's like a sort of psychiatrist's aid, isn't it, or something like?
Yeah.
A psychiatrist.
Here, Dad.
Yeah, and he wants to do it right in front of him. He's like, and then they have like a conversation with the puppets, and he's like, he goes, Bob listens to people. Your father listens to people, except when he's up here, Lake Winnipesaukee, and he's like, but Bob is fun, and he's like, your father's kind of fun, and that's it, like, because he's quite stuffed. He's quite stuffy and he's uptight, especially because he's got that interview tomorrow. So like, here comes Bob, and I find they're having fun, and they leave this is quite key. They leave the house, they leave the car at the marina. He's like, we'll walk home, and then Bob then comes by the house, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he sees Ziggy looking quite down in the dumps, and he says, my dad just dropped me into the lake with no warning and all that. And Bob's like, well, maybe he just really wants you to go over this fear and all that. He goes, well, why don't you teach me how to dive? And then he says, all right. And because Bob's scared of the water and all that, he's like, okay, we'll call this bit the edge. It's not the actual edge of the jetty. It's like a bit, it's just a bit, part of the jetty. This is the edge. Just teach me how to do it. Bend your knees and spring. And then Bob says, look, I can't see what you're doing. You step in front of me. And then he sort of goes through the motions, and then he dives.
Yeah.
He dives. He does what Leo has tried to get him to do for God knows how long. And Bob turns up and gets him to dive. And
yeah.
There's a bit. I don't know. I don't think Anna was doing this sort of like maliciously. But when Ziggy dives off the jetty, you see her going, yes. And I don't think it's like, an F you to the old man kind of thing. I think she's just happy that Ziggy dived, isn't she?
Yeah.
And but like you see Leo, his face sort of drops in like a real state of alarm when he sees that it's Bob, and he's like, and he runs out. He's like, thank you, I'll take over from here. And then he pushes Bob into the lake, again, that's every sort of thing that happens leads on to the next thing, because that's important, because this shames him. His family pissed off him, and like his wife says, apologize to Bob and all, and then because of that, his wife says, let's have him over for dinner, to make up for it, kind of thing. And he's like, no, I can't have him for dinner. I've got my interview tomorrow. I can't, But then because he's done that, he hasn't got like a leg to stand on,
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
So that, he pays for that because, to keep his family happy, and he has to go along with it. So he ends up.
Storm.
I'm sorry.
And then there's a storm, isn't there?
Yeah. So they have dinner. Yeah, they have dinner. Then there's a big storm, and he really doesn't want Bob to stay the night. Well, it's one of the best lines where he says, "Good morning, Good morning, America. We'll be here at 7:00. You don't have to see him come in and see a severely disturbed patient sleeping on one of my couches when they get here." But he eventually agrees, and then he spends the night, and you can tell like Leo is very agitated. He's like, "I want you. Good morning, America are coming at 7:00. I want you out of here at 6:30." And he says, "Yeah, okay." And then Bob, he finally gets him up and he's ready to go, just as like the camera crew arriving, and then he sort of hangs around. This is not, I don't know, maybe it's all perfectly innocent, but he could have just walked off and that would have been that, wouldn't it? But he just hangs around like as the sort of camera crew are sort of milling around the house and all that. And then
we need to talk about how eventually Bob wakes up, because Leo tries to wake him up unsuccessfully. Leo, wakey, cock-a-doodle-doo, Bob.
Bob, cock-a-doodle-doo, Bob. And he's shaking him and he won't wake up. And then the only thing that wakes him up is his alarm, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so he moves back, and then he says, who's it? I think he gets forced because Bob's milling around. The host, I can't remember her name. The Good Morning America host. She's there. She says, "Oh, who's it?" He goes, "Oh, this is Bob. This is a patient, and he was just leaving." And she says, "Oh, that's a really great idea. And then she says to the camera crew, Dr. Marvin's going to have a patient on with him." And he's like, no, that's not a good idea. He's like, "No, it'd be a great idea." And then he can't get out of it, so he ends up having Bob on live television, like the most important interview of his career. And then this is my favorite bit of the whole film. The cameras start rolling, and he's clearly very, very anxious, and he's not comfortable at all, because Bob is sitting next to him, and Bob winds him up anyway. He's just really tense and and nervous and anxious and all that. And because Bob's there, he's really agitated. I think is the correct word. He's agitated.
Yeah.
And then the host says, "So, Dr. Marvin, how does baby steps work on a person like Bob?" And then he blurts out his pre-prepared spiel that I mentioned earlier. He's like, Well, June, I'm very proud of baby steps. And it sort of doesn't fit the question that she asked either, does it? And it's just awful. It's absolutely awful. And then Bob sort of takes over, doesn't he? Because Leo gets sort of freezes on camera, and then he explains it's really he just sings the book's praises, and he goes really overboard with the praise of Leo and all this. He just goes over the top, and at the end of the interview, she says, "The book is Baby Steps. The author is Dr. Leo Marvin, and we've been talking with Bob Wiley." So Bob Wiley completely steals Leo's thunder, doesn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
We just had there's just another. Uh,
Joan London.
is that the?
Doorknob Head was saying, yeah,
Is that is?
that's right.
Oh,
Yeah,
is it the host of Good Morning America?
yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, is she playing herself then, or is she an actress?
No, she's an actress, I think. She's
Ah,
a fictional character.
okay. Yeah. So this is like the straw that breaks the camel's back. After the camera crew leave, he has a huge outburst, and he's like, because they all clap him, and Bob's like, well
Yeah.
done, Doctor," and he's like, "Get out." He's like, "No, we won't get out. You deserve it." He's like, "I mean, get out, get out," and he loses it with him. And he's like, "You've ruined my life. You've ruined my career. You've ruined my book. You've turned a perfectly peaceful house into an insane asylum. Get out!" So, and then he's almost crying. He's like, "It was a disaster, Faye."
Yes. Yeah.
Because why do you have to kick Bob out of the house? Like, you think he's gone? That's the whole point. He's never gone. And he opens up the door, and Bob is still there. He's like, "Is this some kind of radical new therapy?" He's like, "You see?" and then, so he's ruined all of Leo's worst. That was his worst nightmare, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it came true. And like his whole family is sort of they can't see the problem, you know.
No.
And then he sort of comes out like, you know, he sort of apologizes for it's a terrible outburst, and he says, "I want." What does he say? "Oh, do you want to go for a ride?" Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
"Oh, I want to take Bob for a ride." You know, he says, "Pay you back for all the time you spend with me." You're gonna. But he's phoned ahead to this a sort of, you know, oh, here we go. Joan London is an American journalist, an author, and a television host. London was the co-host of ABC's Good Morning America from 1980 to 97, and has authored 8 books. Oh, yeah. And so she did. She played. Let's have a look. I've got IMDb.
She played herself then.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Nice one, Doorknob Head.
Where is it? Oh, there we go. Yeah, Joan London.
Mm.
Okay, yeah. So I guess they do that quite a lot, don't they?
Yeah.
When it's like a famous TV, you know, personality on America, they just use because they're used to like speaking in front of cameras. They just use the real person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he takes her to a sort of you know, like a mental hospital, I guess, a mental institution in New Hampshire,
right. Yeah.
and I think he's trying to get Bob committed, I guess, or you know, because he's a doctor, he's like trying to get him committed into there, you know, because the woman who runs the place, she's like, I can only hold him if we're satisfied that he's a danger to himself and others. Oh, I'm sure, because he knows how neurotic and multiphobic he is. He's like, "Oh, I'm sure he'll be more than satisfied," and all that.
Yeah.
And so when he drives home, he's in a cheery mood, isn't he? Oh yeah, he says that he's sort of. I love this actually. He's talking to himself in the car, really chipper. And he's like, he says, he says, "You see, Bob, I will not be defeated. I will negotiate, and I will compromise, but defeat." He's like, "Cigarette, Bob? Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you were in a straitjacket." So we start to see Leo is starting to be really sort of deranged, isn't it? So, like this, Bob Wiley sort of driven him sort of to quite irrational behavior, really. And when he gets back to the house, he gets a phone call, and he's not happy with the news. He's like, no, and then he gets back in the car and he's sort of saying, "Son of a bitch, son of a bitch," and then he goes back to the hospital, and then he's saying, "Look, we've examined him, he's fine, you know." And she's like, you've been duped by a textbook narcissist. He says, brilliant sociopath. He's like, no. What, good enough to dupe my entire staff? I doubt that. He's like,
Yeah.
if you want to be rid of him, just say you won't treat him anymore. He's like, June. I think her name's June. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. He's like, it's easy for you to say that the man's like human crazy glue. He's like, look, you need to, take it easy, relax. Yes, I'm relaxing. She goes, take a vacation. He's like, I'm on vacation. And then she says, maybe you should check yourself in for a couple of days to get a handle on things. So like, it's we see the sort of beginning of they have sort of mirror opposite character arcs, don't they? Bob and Leo. Bob starts at the bottom, a complete mess, but once he gets to sort of the lake and he meets Leo's family and he sort of hangs around, he gains in confidence. He's more relaxed, so he starts to go up. And Leo starts he's right at the top. He's like, he's having some real success. He's calm, he's collected, he's got things worked out, he's got a beautiful holiday home, beautiful family, and he's doing well. And then his contact with Bob Wiley starts to go on the downward spiral as Bob is going up, and so he has to take Bob back away from, he has to take him back from the hospital that he tried to get him committed in. That's it. He must be, wasn't he? He's trying to get Bob committed, isn't he? That's
Yeah.
what and but then they're driving. Oh, there's so many good scenes that you can't really leave this bit out either. When he's driving Bob back, and Bob's sort of talking to Leo. Leo's just staring dead ahead, like really pissed off. And Bob's like, it was interesting talking to those guys, but they lack the chemistry that me and you have one-on-one. We just need to find a way to work around your schedule, He said, what do we do? 1 to 3, 3 to 5, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then then Leo's driving. He's like, ah! And then he just walks around and he opens the passenger door. He's like, get out of the car! He sort of doesn't even say it, but he's like, get out of the car!
Yes.
So again, another little sign that he's going a bit through Lally, maybe. And then Bob gets out of the car, and then Leo gets in the car and drives away. And he thinks that there's some kind of, what's this, separation therapy or something like that. He doesn't get it. He doesn't seem to get it that Leo can't stand him. And then he has car trouble. He gets pulled over for speeding, doesn't he?
Yes.
Leo gets pulled over for speeding, and as the cop's writing him a ticket, Bob has managed to hitch a ride, and with some random person. Oh yeah, and this is a plot point, and he says, "Oh, officer, can you make sure he's home by 7?" And we because we learn earlier that on the night of the interview with Good Morning America, Faye has organised a surprise party for him. But that's why he has to be home 7. But Leo has no clue. And then after he gets the ticket from the cop drives off, and then he realizes that he's punctured his tire, and he gets some bloke drives past and sprays mud all over him.
That's
and then
right.
He says, God damn, son of a bitching Bob. And then he finally gets home. He's late, and then all the lights are off, and he staggers through the house. And obviously, they're all waiting in the in the back garden, waiting for him, to come. And then he walks out. The lights come on, and they're like, surprise! And they start singing for "He's a Jolly Good Fellow," but it kind of trails off because we see he's an absolute mess. He's a complete mess. He's covered in mud, like he's disheveled. And she's like, honey, what's the matter? He's like, oh, I had a little car trouble. And they're saying, oh, never mind. And one of his colleagues is there saying, oh, is it his birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah, he says
It's his
happy birthday,
birthday.
Leo. Yeah. Um, and and then he goes, "Oh, we've got a surprise for you. We flew your sister Lily out from Chicago." And
That's
then
right.
she comes into his room, and she's like, "Oh, hi, Leo." He's like, "Lily," and he's so happy. And then Bob comes out, and he puts his arm, he puts his arm, he
That's
puts his
right.
arm around Lily. He says, "Yeah, we're all here for you, Dr. M." And then he, his face,
Don't
which
touch my sister.
his face. Oh, Richard Dreyfuss is superb in this film, and like
Yes.
his
Yeah.
face is turned from like a smile to like a sort of like a sort of a maniac grimace, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Don't touch my sister!" And he sort of lunges. He's like he jumps through the air at Bob, and it's so good. I don't know how they filmed. They probably filmed him jumping onto like a crash mat, so he sort
Yeah.
of takes off, doesn't he?
And
You can't
that's
describe it. You have to see it. You have to see it.
yeah. That's
It's
the thing about Richard Dreyfuss. I mean, he's such a great actor. Yeah.
superb.
He can act just with his face.
Yeah, exactly. And he's so good. Look, and he lands on Bob, and there's a scuffle, and then it cuts to uh the colleague who wished him happy birthday is talking to Faye, and
Yeah.
he's and the psychiatrist is saying, well, he's been under a lot of pressure. You know, the interview that frankly didn't go so well, and all this. And I think he's prescribed him something. He wants to prescribe him like a drug, but then Bob says, "Oh, maybe this other drug would be a better sort of tool to manage his you know." And then he says, "Yeah, you're probably right. I'll rewrite the prescription." So Leo's in bed, you know, presumably tranquilized by some drug, and oh, sorry, we got another comment. Do you want to read
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Dog Knobhead is just saying, great storytelling. I wish I could recall movies this well. I'm the sort that can forget a movie so fully I can watch it again and not have it too spoiled for me. Well, off to worky work. Thanks.
Oh, thanks for that, Doorknob. Yeah, I wish I could just. I mean, I think if I'd only watched What About Bob once or twice, I'll probably forget most of it. But yes, it's a film I've watched loads of times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a family favorite of ours.
yeah, and yeah, so yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's probably why I can recall it better than a lot of other films. But yeah, so Leo's in bed, you know, and Bob says something which is quite telling to Lily. Because he's talking to Lily, and she's like, "Oh, Leo's very lucky to have you, Bob." He's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you know, and I'll be here for as long as it takes. You know, I'll just be the dad." It's like taking over the family, you know. And then,
and Lily says to him, don't hesitate to call me.
yeah,
So you can tell that she's beginning to like Bob. Like him.
yeah, and you know, the feeling's mutual as well. You see Bob give her a look. Don't you?
Yeah.
So there's a little foreshadowing there, and then the family, for the first time, they realise that Leo really doesn't want Bob around, you know, and they sort of say, "Look, we're really sorry, we don't want this," but you know, for some reason, Leo's just really, I can't remember the exact words, but somewhere really got a problem with you, and he's like, "Oh, so you want me to leave?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're really sorry, none of us want this." He's like, "Oh, okay," so he leaves, and you know, on good terms. You know, there's no animosity between them. You know, they live on good terms. Like, you know, I think he says something like, "We're just temporarily disconnected." That's all. And then he's walking home, and then you see one of Leo's eyes open, like, you know, the tranks haven't worked or something. You know? And then
Yeah.
and then I think he climbs out the window of the bedroom, doesn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he sneaks out anyway. Yeah, the family doesn't know that he's left, and he basically stalks Bob, doesn't he? And Bob's on his own. He's quite scared. And then Oh yeah, he broke. Sorry, we see Leo break into this sort of. I guess it's like a fishing store or something. But they've got guns, and you hear him like he's got a torch. Yeah, he smashes into this store, and he's got the torch. The torch goes over some guns. He's like, too messy. And then I think there's some kind of another weapon, like a I don't even know what it is. Is it like a harpoon or something?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
And then he says, no, not painful enough. And then and then the torch like falls on some powdered, some explosives. And he's like, yes. And he grabs loads of it and then walks off.
Yeah.
And he takes a shotgun as well. And then Bob's walking home, and then Dr. Martin comes up behind me. He's like, oh, Dr. Marvin. He's like, now be quiet and do exactly as I say. Turn around. And then he leads him into the woods, and he's gonna kill Bob.
Yeah.
He hangs the explosives around his neck, ties him to this tree stump, and then sets it off. And he's sort of like singing to himself as he's doing it. Like he turns the detonator on. He's like, la 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 la. And he's like, ah! he sort of lets off this maniacal laugh and walks away. Oh yeah, I should also mention one of the best lines in the film, which he says, "You do understand, don't you, Bob? There is no other solution. You won't go away." And Bob goes, "Yeah, I will." He goes, "No, you're just saying you will. And after I don't kill you, you'll come back, and you'll do something else to make everyone in my life think you're wonderful, and I'm a schmuck. But I'm not a schmuck, Bob, and I'm not going to let you breeze into town and take my family away from me just because you're crazy enough to be fun." Then he says, "Oh, this is death therapy, Bob. It's a guaranteed cure." That's another thing he says, which is important. And then he just leaves him for dead to be blown up. And somehow Bob manages to get free of it, and and meanwhile Leo comes home and he's like dancing. He's like, "I'm free," and all that. And then Bob carries because I guess he still doesn't think that he thinks this is some kind of therapy, and he doesn't realize that it's explosives. So he puts it in the house, and then he's like, and then he comes up to Leo and the family are out in the garden, and then Bob walks up to him and he's like, "No, what are you doing?" Goes, "Bob, those things are hung around your neck. Where are they?" So I put them in the house, and then the house explodes.
Yes.
And you see the Gutmans on a fishing boat, and they're just saying, "Burn, burn, burn." That's the dream house that that Leo stole from, well, bought from underneath. Yeah. And then you sort of see Leo staring, at the mess, and he's sort of blinking heavily. He sort of develops a kind of twitch towards the end of the film. His mental health has completely deteriorated. And then the next, I think Ziggy says, "Oh, well, think about it this way, Dad. How can things get any worse?" And then he cuts to a wedding, and then Bob's getting married to Lily, his sister.
His sister.
And at this, by this point, we see that. I think he's catatonic. He's in a wheelchair. Leo is. So I think since the house exploded, I guess he just went into a catatonic state.
Yeah.
And then after Lily says "I do," he sort of stands up and says "No," and then they say, "Oh, he's back." He says he's back and all that. They'll hug him, and then Bob kisses him on the cheek, and he doesn't like that. And then the credits sort of roll, and that's it. Bob's going to be part of his life forever now, presumably.
Yeah.
And it says that the final bit of the screen says Bob later went on to have a best-selling book called Death Therapy, and it says Leo is suing him for the rights.
Yes.
So that's it. So the spiral is complete. Bob goes up and up and up. He gets a wife because he had separation anxiety. He gets a wife. he gets more confident, he gets over his phobias, and he becomes successful,
family.
and he gets a family. Leo, his I get presumably baby steps took a bit of a knock after word got out that he had a psychotic episode and tried to murder one of his patients. Yeah, so what would have been the high point of his career was a disaster. So yeah, he turns from a very sort of successful, level-headed person to a sort of would-be murdering psychopath. And Bob goes to a multiphobic, wreck of a human being to a very successful family man. So yeah, that's the plot, and that's what about Bob. But we haven't really. You have to really watch it to get a sense, because I think the main thing about this film, the plot's very good, but is the two lead performances are superb.
Yes, yeah, and there's great chemistry between them.
Yes, absolutely. I did a bit of research about this. Well, the first thing is, I'm pretty sure I know the source of it. I couldn't find it on the internet, but I think I remember ages ago. There's a program for anyone who's not British who listens to this. There's a program called Tier 5 Friday that used to be on every Friday night, and they'd have stars on. I remember one week they had Richard Dreyfuss on, and he mentioned what about Bob for a bit, and I think Richard Dreyfuss said this. Apparently that year, 1991, I think the panel changes every year. Like there's a panel that decides who gets the nominations for best actor, best and Steven Spielberg was on the Oscars committee or whatever it was that year, and he wanted he didn't get his way because they voted against it, but Steven Spielberg wanted Bill Murray to get nominated for best actor that year.
Oh, right.
Which is an amazing piece of trivia, I think.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And I think it's a great performance from Bill Murray, but for me, and I think for you as well, correct me if I'm wrong, but everyone who watched that, Richard Dreyfuss's performance is superb. I think he steals the show personally, and I love Bill Murray's performance, but Richard Dreyfuss's performance is brilliant.
Yeah, exactly.
And he really. Oh, sorry, go on.
It's the way he responds to to Bill Murray's character that sells it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He looks really agitated around him, and he's got a legitimate. He loses control of the situation, and you can see that he must feel like the lone sane voice in a sort of world of madmen, because he's the only one to see this is not that Bob got the stage and all that, and and you see him, because when he's in his office at the start of the film, like we say, he's very calm, and then the contrast, and it's a gradual sort of derangement, and it kind of works as well. It's the kind of thing. It's kind of plausible. I know it is a kind of sort of wacky comedy almost, but like it is all the things that happen. The faking his suicide, impersonating his sister, getting his holiday home address under false pretenses, catching a bus over, yelling his name out in the street, sort of like inveigling himself into, getting his address and going to his house while he's on holiday. What I mean? All of these things are out of order. So that you can tell why he's really tense, and the way that his family sort of seduced by Bob's charm and his kind personality. You can see he's got a legitimate beef, and as things progress, And as you know, the best moment in his career is ruined by Bob. His family is sort of like he's sort of like wormed his way into his family. You can tell, you know, it's a plausible reason why someone might, you know, become increasingly deranged. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
it sort of works out well. Like the events that happen sort of work out well. Don't they? They sort of they have a logical progression towards what happens in the film.
Yeah. Exactly.
I did a bit according to IMDb, and I can believe this. The original casting ideas are quite interesting. I saw one. It says that one of originally they wanted Robin Williams to play Bob Wiley. He was
That
first
would have
choice.
been,
Oh, sorry.
that would have been interesting.
Yeah, I think he could do it.
Hmm.
He would have to have a director to say, I don't know, maybe. I have a kind of ambivalence about Robin Williams is very talented. I think some of his comedy he goes a bit over the top, and
Yeah.
you know, does the silly voices and all that. But when he plays it straight, he's brilliant. You know, 1 Hour Photo and Insomnia. What a great film that. And
Yeah.
so he could definitely pull it off. But yeah, as long as he doesn't play it too wacky, because
Yeah.
it's not the tone of the film is Bob is believable, isn't he? You know, he's not. He's got to be kind of incredulous. You know, he's got to be no, so not no. He has to be credulous. He has to be kind of unsuspecting. Bob Wiley.
Yeah.
He can't be clever enough to do all the stuff that Robin Williams sometimes does. You know, but he could have pulled it off definitely. I think, and
Yeah.
apparently they were considering Patrick Stewart as Dr. Leo Marvin.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I mean, I guess he's a good actor. He could have pulled it off. I just can't see past Richard Dreyfuss. Let's have a look because there's another. It's on IMDb. I got all this. Where's the trivia? Oh yeah, I got to go back because they had one other idea was apparently Chevy Chase was considered for both of the roles. So
Yeah.
Bob or Dr. Leo Marvin. Let's have a look. Oh yeah. So yeah. Robin Williams was the first choice. Sorry for the dead air.
It's okay.
Oh, Steve Martin was considered for the role for the roles of both Bob Wiley and Dr. Leo Marvin.
Okay.
If I had the choice, I'd have him as Dr. Leo Marvin because
Yeah.
have you ever seen a film called The Jerk?
Yes, I have. Yeah, a long time ago.
I think Steve Martin is much funnier when he plays someone, you know, sort of normal than someone being wacky and stupid like in The Jerk. I don't find The Jerk that funny.
Yeah.
That's just my that's my opinion. But I think as Dr. Leo Marvin, you know, because he'd be a similar role as he is in you know, in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, when
Yeah.
he has an irritant. There's an irritant stalking him throughout the film, you know,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
so he could definitely pull off Dr. Leo Marvin.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have him as Bob Wiley though. Yes, wow. It says here James Caan, you know, Sonny from The Godfather.
Yes.
James Caan, Chevy Chase, and Kevin Kline were all considered for the role of Dr. Leo Marvin.
Hmm.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, I can sort of see. I can see James. I can see them all really, but
Yeah.
and this one makes sense as well. At one point in development, Woody Allen was considered for the role. Hang on, in that he could do triple duty as star, director, and possibly co-writer.
Right.
It doesn't say which role. I guess Bob Wiley, like a neurotic. He plays that neurotic New York kind of guy, kind of in almost every film, doesn't he? So like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he could have pulled off. How old was Woody Allen in 91? He was young enough to pass, wasn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's lots of apparently says I'm pretty sure somewhere down also Eddie Murphy as Bob Wiley apparently was considered as well. But I can't find it. But I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, a lot of people were considered. I think
Yeah.
they made the right decision. You know, I think.
Yeah.
But weirdly though, I think that this is the kind of usually I'm like, if I love a film or a TV show, I think no, God, it couldn't have been anyone else but that person. But
Yeah.
in this, I'd kind of like. I think it would have a different tone. Let's say if it was, you know, for the sake of argument, Robin Williams and Steve Martin as Leo Marvin. That could work. That would be quite interesting,
Yeah.
wouldn't it? Yeah. So I can. There's a lot of actors that could have done the job. But yeah, I love the performance of Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Anyway, so go on. Go on.
Oh, sorry. I guess we should say why we love the film before we wrap up.
Yeah. Yes. Why do you love the film so much?
I think it. Apart from what we've already said about the great performances, I think it's fun and it's light and it's got lots of big hits. I think it's got lots of really big hitting laugh out loud moments.
Yeah.
And I think I've said this about other films as well. There's no silly little set pieces. You know what I mean? It's all
Yeah.
everything that happens in the film happens naturally, like organically as part of the plot. And it's quite. There's only one bit of profanity. I think it could be a PG. There's
Yeah.
a bit, at the start of the film. He's sort of saying, "Oh, he fakes having illnesses." Sort of reassure him that he doesn't really have it. And he sort of does an impression of someone with Tourette's. And I think he says the
Yeah.
word twat. I think he says
Yeah.
twat. But apart from that bit, I think that it could be like a PG, couldn't it? Like it could
Yeah.
be, kids could watch it if apart from that tiny little bit. So it's kind of nice to have like a nice sort of wholesome film that isn't full of effing and blinding and sexual jokes and all that. So it's a nice film. It's funny without being, sleazy or profane with it, or and I quite like that. And yeah, two great performances, and it's an unusual kind of yeah, I think it's quite an unusual subject matter as well. For the time at least,
Yeah.
a patient stalking the psychiatrist, and yeah, it just makes you chuckle. And it's got some really laugh out loud moments, and it works. It works brilliantly. Yeah, that's why I love it. So, how about you? What was the main reason you love it?
Yeah, pretty much the same as you. Yeah, I think it's really, it's a very funny movie, and like you were saying before, it's very you can almost believe it. You can almost believe that sort of thing would happen.
Yeah,
That these scenarios would play out, and again, the very believable performances by Richard Dreyfuss and Bill Murray, but also by um, the actors playing Faye and the two children as well,
yeah,
and they were very good.
yeah. I think Sigmund especially because he's very young. There's a bit when he first meets Bob, he's got like a kind of look of wonder on his face, like he
Yeah,
really thinks Bob's a cool guy, and that really
yeah,
comes across. It's not
yeah,
overacted. It's perfect.
and there's just so many quotable this there's so many quotable lines in the film as well, and
Yeah,
genuine belly laughs as well.
yeah, yeah. There's kind of like tongue in cheek sort of wry humor, you know,
Yeah,
And there's also the big hitting belly laughs as well. Most of the belly laughs, I think all of them, the real belly laughs come from Richard Dreyfuss as well, which is superb. Yeah, I can think of 3 off the top of my head.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a great performance.
Yeah, definitely. And well, I think we'll wrap things up. And I hope that Tom and I have whet your appetite to to watch this film. What about Bob? For yourselves. And we will see you next time. Bye for now.